Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders are hitting the road for their first joint practice and preseason game against the New England Patriots, but not everyone is making the trip to Foxborough. A few key players are staying back in Ashburn, Virginia, and although that might cause concern for some fans, head coach Dan Quinn insists there's no need to panic. According to Quinn, the injuries are minor, and right now the team is just being cautious. With training camp in full swing and preseason just beginning, it's understandable the coaching staff doesn't want to push anyone too early. The real priority is making sure everyone is fully healthy when the games actually start to matter. Still, for fans who are eager to see a glimpse of the starters or potential breakout players, the news is a bit disappointing, but perspective is important. Here, preseason games aren't about the stars. They're about depth evaluation and giving young guys a shot to prove they belong. Brandon Coleman is one of those names you want to see on the field, especially given the current transition happening along the offensive line. Coleman tweaked his leg during Saturday's practice and hasn't returned since missing Monday's session. As well, whether or not he would travel was a question mark, but now it's confirmed. He's staying behind. There's no official timeline for his return, but the expectation is that he'll be back sooner rather than later. That's good news considering Coleman has been getting reps at guard, a move that could be significant for Washington's offensive line depth. Offensive line is one of those positions where chemistry matters just as much as talent. If the five up front can build continuity, it shows in the run game, in protection, and in overall rhythm. Preseason might not be critical for starters, but those foundational reps in practice and early games are vital, especially for a line still finding its identity. Coach Quinn has repeatedly emphasized the importance of a player's second year, in the league calling it a make or break stretch for development. Unfortunately, two promising second-year players, Jordan McGee and Javonte Jean-Baptiste, won't be suiting up this week either. Both had been showing flashes in training camp, and both were expected to get valuable reps against the Patriots. But now they'll have to wait. For Maggie in particular, this is frustrating. He battled injuries last season, and now he's missing more time just when he was supposed to start building momentum. While Quinn continues to reassure fans that the injuries are short-term and not serious, there's always that lingering concern about durability. Depth matters in the NFL, and when guys fighting for key backup spots can't stay on the field, it limits the coaching staff's ability to evaluate them fairly. These aren't devastating setbacks, but they are missed opportunities that could impact the 53-man roster down the line. Veterans like Marcus Mariota and Noah Brown are also not making a trip, but in their cases, the absences appear to be more precautionary than anything else. Both players have minor issues pop up, and the team opted to let them rest instead of forcing extra reps. This approach makes sense. Mariota is an experienced quarterback who knows the offense and doesn't need every single preseason snap to stay sharp. Brown has shown flashes during camp and doesn't need to prove his worth just yet. What this does is open the door for younger players to step into the spotlight. Quarterbacks like Josh Johnson and Sam Hartman will now have a bigger stage to showcase what they can do. It also gives fringe receivers like Chris Moore, KJ Osborne, and Ja'Cory Brooks a golden opportunity to earn that final roster spot. That's the beauty of preseason. The depth battles are often more compelling than the starters' limited action. One of the big questions circling this week's events was whether star wide receiver Terry McLaurin made the trip to New England. The answer, according to reports, is no, but not because of any new injury concern. McLaurin remains on the physically unable to perform PUP list, and players on that list typically don't travel for joint practices or preseason games. The same goes for offensive lineman Sam Cosmi, who is also still rehabbing and remained in Ashburn. While their absences might stir up some speculation among fans, it's worth noting that neither case is cause for alarm at this point. If they remain on the PUP list as week 1 approaches, that would be a bigger issue. But for now, Quinn and the staff seem focused on long-term readiness rather than short-term appearances. It's not just about who's ready now, it's about who will be ready when it counts. There's a calculated strategy to the way Dan Quinn and his staff are managing this early phase of the preseason. It's a balancing act between getting guys reps and not risking unnecessary injury. Joint practices can be intense, sometimes even more so than preseason games, and that's where most of the starters are expected to get their work in. So while fans might be disappointed that they won't see the first team offense or defense in game action against the Patriots, it doesn't mean they're not getting valuable reps. This also allows the team to simulate high leverage scenarios without exposing their best players to live game hits. And for players on the bubble, this is a crucial time. Every rep counts. In practice, in film review, and in a limited game. Time they do get. This is where roster decisions are made, and the Commanders staff knows that every snap tells a story. What's more, these missed opportunities for some veterans and second-year players can serve as a spark for others to step up. Injuries, even minor ones, create room for someone else to make a name. Undrafted free agents, late-round rookies, or practice squad holdovers. This is where their stories begin. Coaches love seeing how players respond when the depth chart opens. Do they seize the moment or fade into the background with names like Magee and Jean-Baptiste sideline the door is now wide open for other linebackers and edge rushers to grab the coach's attention. It's a next man up league, and the guys who treat every opportunity like it's their last are the ones who stick. So while this week may be a letdown for fans hoping to see a few specific players, it's a vital stage for guys trying to secure their NFL futures. There's also something to be said about the message Dan Quinn is sending to his team. Through all this, health is the priority, not hype. Too many times in the NFL, teams push guys to return too quickly or overvalue early preseason appearances. By holding players back who are even slightly banged up, Quinn is showing that he's playing the long game. He's not worried about the optics or preseason box scores. He wants a healthy, prepared team come September. That kind of message resonates especially with veterans who've seen how grueling the regular season can be. And for young players, it sets a tone of professionalism and discipline. Quinn is creating a culture of accountability where being available and ready matters more than highlight plays in early August. That approach may not always generate headlines, but it builds teams that last deep into seasons. So where does this leave Washington heading into the weekend matchup against the Patriots? In a good spot, honestly. While they're not at full strength, the majority of these injuries are short-term, and the coaching staff has been smart with how they handle them. This preseason isn't about winning, it's about evaluation. Fans might not see Terry McLaurin haul in a deep pass or Brandon Coleman hold the line, but they will see the next wave of talent, the guys who might be called upon when injuries inevitably happen during the season. And that matters just as much. The Commanders are looking to build something sustainable under Dan Quinn, and that starts with depth. If anything, this situation highlights just how seriously the coaching staff is taking that mission. They're not chasing preseason wins, they're building a roster that can compete in December and beyond. In the end, while some fans may be disappointed by who's not playing this week, there's still plenty to be excited about. These joint practices and preseason games are a proving ground for the guys who don't have guaranteed spots. And sometimes those are the stories that make football so compelling. Everyone knows what Terry McLaurin can do. Everyone knows Mariota is capable. But who's the next man up? Who's the surprise name that flashes in Foxborough and earns more reps next week? That's the drama of August football, and it's what coaches live for. Injuries will always be a part of the game, but how teams respond, how players seize their moment, is what defines a preseason. The Commanders might not be at full strength heading into New England, but make no mistake that foundation is being laid right now, and the team is exactly where it needs to be. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The NFL rumor mill is heating up, and this one's causing serious buzz in Washington. Whispers are flying around that the Washington Commanders are on the verge of offering a jaw-dropping deal to secure their star wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, all the way through the 2030 season. We're talking about an astronomical figure, $800 million, or around $150 million USD by current exchange rates. If this turns out to be true, it could reshape the Commanders' entire trajectory for the next half-decade. The figure alone is enough to turn heads, but what really stands out is the long-term commitment. Rarely do teams throw this kind of long-term money at a wide receiver, and even more rarely do they do it before a contract year or major public dispute. That suggests the Commanders aren't just trying to keep McLaurin, they're trying to build their future entirely around him. Now, Terry McLaurin has never been the kind of player to stir drama or chase headlines, but his value to the Commanders has been undeniable since day one. Drafted in the 3rd round back in 2019, he steadily developed into one of the NFL's most reliable and explosive wide receivers. In a team that cycled through quarterbacks like socks, McLaurin has been the constant, week in and week, out delivering clutch catches, big yardage, and an unshakable work ethic. So if these rumors are even half true, it would make sense that Washington sees him as a cornerstone, with new ownership looking to shift the narrative and bring back the glory days. Locking down a leader like McLaurin might be step one, a mega deal. Like, this wouldn't just be a reward, it would be a message to fans and players alike. The Commanders are building something real. What makes this rumor even juicier is the timing. NFL insiders are suggesting that talks have been going on behind the scenes for months, but details only recently started leaking. And now that the preseason is heating up, it seems like someone close to the situation wanted this information out. Could it be McLaurin's camp applying public pressure to finalize terms, or maybe the Commanders leaking it to gauge public reaction before committing to a deal of this magnitude? Either way, the word is out, and everyone in the league is watching closely. The implications go far beyond Washington, because if McLaurin sets a new standard for wide receiver contracts, you better believe other stars around the league will follow suit. And with 2030 in sight, the Commanders might be trying to get ahead of a rapidly inflating market. Let's not forget what this means for the locker room. Giving this kind of money to one player sends a clear signal, not just about that player's value, but about the team's vision. McLaurin has earned respect in the locker room through his consistency, leadership, and humility. He's not the loudest voice, but he's often the most respected. By locking him in for the long haul, the Commanders could be setting a tone we reward excellence, loyalty, and performance. And for a team trying to shake off years of instability, that kind of message could do wonders for morale. There's a risk. Of course, big money changes dynamics. Some younger players might wonder when their payday is coming. But if managed well, this could be the kind of cultural turning point franchises dream of, especially if they believe McLaurin will lead not just on the field, but off it too. Now, let's talk dollars and cents. $800 million is a massive number, especially for a wide receiver. If we break that down, assuming it includes signing bonuses, incentives, and guaranteed money, we're looking at one of the richest non-quarterback contracts in NFL history. For context, stars like Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams have hovered around the $120 million range in recent deals, but none have cracked the 2030 mark. That's bold, that's long, and that's risky. Injuries decline and system changes can all impact the receiver's value, especially over a 6-year span. But McLaurin's style, crisp routes, safe hands, and elite separation might be exactly what you want to bet on long term. He doesn't rely solely on speed, which tends to fade. Instead, he wins with intelligence and technique. The Commanders might be gambling big, but it could also be the smartest investment they've ever made. But why now? That's the real question. McLaurin isn't a free agent next year, and there haven't been any public signs of contract friction, which makes this rumor all the more intriguing. Some analysts believe it's tied to ownership pressures. The new front office reportedly wants to show fans that they're committed to a new era, one of transparency, stability, and results. A mega deal like this is flashy, sure, but it's also strategic. It buys headlines, earns goodwill, and shows agents around the league that Washington is a team players can trust. If they can lock in McLaurin, who's universally respected, it makes recruiting other stars that much easier. And let's not forget a franchise QB is probably coming soon. What better way to ease a young quarterback into the NFL than with an elite lock it and target who knows the system inside and out? From a fan perspective, this could be the move that rekindles belief. For years, Washington fans have endured mediocrity, scandal, and front office chaos. But Terry McLaurin has been a rare bright spot, someone you can root for with confidence. A mega deal feels like poetic justice for a guy who's given everything without asking for much in return. The online reaction has already been explosive, with fans split between excitement and nervousness. Can one player really be worth that much? What about the cap? Will it limit other moves? But one thing's for sure, this rumor has people talking. And after so many years of irrelevance, that might be half the battle. The Commanders are finally making headlines for the right reasons. Whether the deal goes through or not, The fact that it's even being considered speaks volumes about how much the culture is changing in Washington. There's also a sneaky layer here involving McLaurin's influence beyond football. Insiders point to his growing brand appeal, particularly among younger fans and corporate sponsors. He's clean-cut, media savvy, and deeply involved in the community. In short, he's marketable. For a team that's still trying to sell jerseys and fill seats, McLaurin is a dream. The $800 million might not just be about catches and touchdowns, it could be about branding, ticket sales, and long-term fan engagement. Think about it. In a city that lives and breathes politics, having a player who embodies integrity and consistency could be huge. The Commanders may be investing not just in an athlete, but in an icon. And in a league where off-field presence matters more than ever, that kind of vision might be ahead of its time. It's business and football colliding in a fascinating way. Of course, not everyone's convinced. There are plenty of skeptics calling this a smokescreen. Some believe the numbers are inflated to distract from other internal issues or to boost McLaurin's leverage in ongoing negotiations. Others suggest that even if the Commanders want to offer a deal of that size, it might be structured with heavy incentives or out clauses, making the real guaranteed money much lower than headlines suggest. That's the thing with NFL contracts, the devil is always in the details. Still, the rumor alone has reshaped the offseason narrative. Suddenly everyone's talking about Washington, agents, analysts, fans, they're all tuning in. And for a franchise that spent too long in the shadows, that spotlight could be exactly what they need to step into a new era. Ultimately, if this mega deal materializes, it could mark a historic turning point for the Commanders. Terry McLaurin is more than a wide receiver. He's become the face of a franchise desperately in need of stability and pride. $800 million is a massive price tag, but maybe it's the cost of finally building a foundation. The Commanders have the cap room, the new leadership, and the desire to rebrand their identity. Locking in a talent like McLaurin until 2030 isn't just a football decision. It's a statement of intent. It says they're no longer reacting to the league, but setting their own course. And even if this deal doesn't come to pass, the fact that it's even being discussed tells us one thing loud and clear: Washington is done playing small. The era of quiet mediocrity might finally be over. Now all eyes are on Ashburn, and the countdown has officially begun. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.